Morning. We're going to get started with a meeting of the Regional Flood Control District. Mr. Trelease.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Item number 1 is comments by the general public.
This is the first time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to provide public comment with regards to any matters on today's Regional Flood Control agenda, please step forward to the microphone, state your name, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the first public comment period, and I'll turn it back over to Mr. Trelease.
Item number 2 is action to approve the agenda with deletion of any items. The agenda is in order for approval.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion. There's a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll just note for the record, we have a couple of our members who are excused from today's meeting.
Okay. Item number 3 is action to approve the minutes of the January 8th, 2026 meeting. The minutes are included in the backup.
I'll entertain a motion. There's a motion to approve the minutes of the January 8th, 2026 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 is to discuss the general manager's monthly report. If you recall from last month's meeting, I presented the rainfall totals at the McCarran Airport rainfall, or McCarran Airport, which is the actual official rainfall for Clark County, and noted that the rainfall at the airport was above the historic average rainfall there of 4.18 inches. And then mentioned that our senior hydrologist said that there's many other gauges around the county that are on the Spring Mountains that were also significantly above normal. And then Commissioner Siegerblum said, well, it'd be interesting to see some of that data. So although he's not here today, I'm going to give a little bit of a abridged version of that presentation, and I'll provide the rest of it next month. So if you recall that the 2000 precipitation outlook from the National Weather Service is mostly dry. It's very hot, hotter than normal, and mostly dry, and then the rest is neither dry nor wet. So again, it's a prediction, so we're not really sure yet, but leaning towards dry. And so, but I thought I'd show some of our tools that are on our website. We have a lot of data from a lot of gauges. We have over 200 weather stations around Clark County. All of them collect rainfall during storm events. And so on our website, we have some tools to kind of view that data. One of the things this is from our website, regionalflood.org. If you go to our rainfall and weather map right here from the homepage, there's this interactive map which kind of shows in real time when it's raining, where these blue dots represent our stations, our rain gauges, and the numbers there represent the total rainfall in inches as it's collected. And so on the left there, I kind of show where you can search for any time in history of rainfall over a range. What I did is sorted by rainfall from ending in January 1st, 2026 to get the rainfall, and the interval was 12 months. You could also do a year, you could do 6 hours, you could do minutes, whatever you want to do. So it basically just showed the annual rainfall for the entire year of 2025. We also have on the same page, you can turn on our there's layers that can show like where our facilities, our channels, our storm drains, our detention basins, if that helps as well, if you're interested in that. And then there's a legend there on the right side of the page that shows what each of these dots represent. Most of those, the circles are maintained by Regional Flood Control District, and we also gather data from other entities' rain gauges. And then another really neat tool on the website is this rainfall and weather. If you go to the page for our programs and services, and then sort by rainfall summaries, I thought this is really amazing data for anyone who's interested in it. If you find your station, your ID near your house or your school or wherever you're interested in, you can sort by, now the sensor IDs are just there. That's for our purposes. They do represent things for us. If they start with a 4, for example, it's in Las Vegas Valley, that's kind of like the watershed. If it ends with a 9 or a 4, it means it's a rain gauge. If it ends in an 8, it means it's a water level gauge. But that's not important really we try to, the visual description, the location of it is interesting. and then you can search for your specific gauge as you're interested in, and then sort by any year you want, and if that gauge was in service. There's the data all the way January through December for whatever you're searching for, and then the total for that year. So really, really great data. You can download that into a spreadsheet and use that, manipulate that data however you want. So I'm going to go through a few slides here of just what did actually happen in 2025. This is the Southwest Valley. This chart here basically shows, as a reminder, the top line there, that little table there, is the Harry Reid International Airport, the 4.18, which is what we say is the average annual rainfall in Clark County. And then in 2025, we got 5.41 inches. And that's just as a reference for these other areas. So in a portion of District F, we can see there at our Duck Creek Railroad Detention Basin, 3.47 inches. So then the far right column there is whether that was above. If it's blue, it's above that average for that rain gauge. And if it's green, it means it's less. So we can see in this area, F2 debris basin, we have rainfall that was exceeded those averages for those rain gauges. Because we don't have actual official rainfall for each gauge. I just ran a summary of the history of that gauge and what's the average rainfall every year of that gauge. So thanks to my team for helping me put this data together. It's really cool. There's a lot of great data here. Going further south in District F, we could see like out in Prim, out in Good Springs, quite a lot of rain out there. And if you compare that to the 4.18, which is like the kind of the average rainfall in Clark County, you can see that like pretty much all the areas out here got a lot of rain out there. And both of them more rain than is usually seen by those gauges. In Las Vegas, ran a couple data points there, one at the Rainbow Curve, Ward 1, 4.02 inches. It's pretty consistent around there. Again, above average for that area. And you can see the Northwest definitely had a lot of rain in 2025. And then to help prove my senior hydrologist was right, Summerlin West, 9.69 inches of rain is above the average, but the average there is 7.63. So you can see that the average rainfall can vary greatly from what it is at the airport. I mean, the airport is a relatively dry area. So, but up in the mountains, up in the foothills, we get a lot more rain on average. North Las Vegas, there at I-15, Ward 1 there as well. A little bit less than average rainfall in that at our detention basin there in Vandenberg. And then I took another data point up in the mountains, and there in the Sheep Range Mountains, and then there's 4.49, which is above average for that rain gauge there. So generally, it's pretty low. You can see those numbers around in those areas, not really that high for 2025. So it's kind of a little drier on the east side of town than it was on the west. And then Boulder City, we have 3 gauges out there. The Bootleg Canyon Detention Basin, a little bit above average for that area as well. And I was expecting Councilman Wanless to be here, but you can see Mesquite, extremely dry last year, like only a little over 2 inches of rain in the areas of Mesquite. Out and really all along the whole I-15 corridor was very, very dry. So that's a little snapshot of our data and just what it can do and what it can mean. And I think we're building tools all the time to help communicate what has happened, what could happen again in the future. Just have an idea of what to expect. And I think it's important for the public to understand that no matter where you are, I mean that if we say it average of rain of 4 inches here doesn't sound like a lot, but that doesn't mean it's that where you live. It could be more than that, could be less. But we know it can rain any time of the year. To always be aware of flash flooding wherever you are. With that, I'll happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions? Mr. Vice Chair?
Yeah, thank you very much for the data. I can't recall if I've ever seen what a rain gauge looks like. Do you just happen to have like a picture there somewhere, what one of ours looks like?
Yes. Oh, so it depends on where they are. A lot of times they just look like they're just a cylindrical tube that's like 24 inches in diameter. That's a column. We have on our website. We have pictures of every station. You can click on it. If you go to that app like there, on our app, if you hover over it and you click on it, you can see a picture of that specific gauge. At every gauge, we have a picture of it. Sometimes they're a little house, like out our detention basins. They have there's like a shed. It's a brick building that we prefabricate, and then it has a rain gauge on the roof, and then all the equipment's inside of it. So, because we also need to house the equipment on just the rain gauges. That's like the tube that's just sitting out and has a solar panel on it usually, so it can be powered, so the battery can recharge. And then if the funnel on top of it as well. But if it's a full weather station, we usually have a bigger, like a little building and stuff like that. So you probably see them, and you don't know what they are or don't recognize them. The ones that are just the rain gauges that are out in the desert, we usually kind of paint them with camouflage because they're popular targets for people that are out there just shooting. So unfortunately, we get a lot of damage on some of those. So we try to make them not stand out. But yeah, next month I'll bring some pictures of some of our gauges as well, so I can show you what those look like.
Do we ever use any opportunities to install these, say, at schools to make it into kind of like an educational opportunity for the kids? Have we ever installed one, say, like at a school? So you could maybe wrap it into some sort of like
I don't think we've done that specifically. There's some of our science, our older kids that we do have some of that opportunities. That would be, that's a good idea though, because we do, get our hydrologist to talk about, his equipment, man, he's super excited. He was very involved in Boy Scouts, so his Boy Scout team knew a lot about what he was doing. So I think that's an interesting idea. Because there's a lot of science there. There's a lot of how they work, electricity, batteries, recharging, and just how the data is collected. There's weather stations. There's rainfall and wind and humidity and all this stuff. There's a lot of things that these stations collect, a lot of data. So it'd be a very interesting. I think that's a good idea to.
It'd be great to ignite ignite the passion to give us a future Mr. Trelease.
Yeah, well, for sure. This is, we have our really dedicated employees that have to service this equipment. They go out there and they're very knowledgeable on how to keep this stuff running. As we mentioned, we say things like this is 96% is our goal for efficiency. That's insane for all these gauges to maintain that level of efficiency, and we usually exceed that goal. So just keeping these things running and operating and making sure they're ready when it does rain is a big task, and our team is really great at it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? If not, I'll turn it back over to you too, Mr. Trelease.
Thank you. So part two of the agenda is the consent agenda. Items 5 through 10 are considered by the Regional Flood Control District to be routine and may be acted upon in one motion if the board so desires.
I'll entertain a motion. There's a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 11 is action to approve and authorize the chair to sign the professional services agreement with Robertson Partners for the 2026 flood safety advertising campaign, or take action as deemed appropriate. Last fall, proposals were solicited for the flood safety advertising campaign. We had 2 respondents, and the panel committee that we formed selected Robertson Partners as our 2026 advertising campaign consultant, and we have a presentation prepared by Scott Robertson to talk about the program and in the past and the future.
Thanks, Andrew. Good morning, Chairman, board members. Good to be with you this morning. I'm Scott Robertson, principal of Robertson Partners. We've enjoyed a 30-plus year, 32 years, I think, public-private partnership with Clark County Regional Flood Control District, among other clients in the market. It was, in fact, one of the first accounts I worked on when I was in my early 20s. So I've seen Gail Fraser, Steve Parrish retire, and I hope to ride out my own imminent demise here with Andrew and the rest of the gang. And I'm grateful to be in front of you here again today, moving forward. We've had tremendous success with this account. It's not often that ad agencies are citing a government account as one of their most creative accounts, but it is very much the case with the Regional Flood Control District, with the creativity and the results. So we would like to continue protecting life and property in Clark County. over the next year, and I'll give you a big, broad, high-level overview of what we do. Obviously, we're focusing on both awareness of flash flooding in the valley for residents, visitors, school kids, and also behavioral change. We don't want people to just know it rains. We want them to know what to do when it's raining, depending on where they are and what they're doing. The core pillars are flash flood safety in cars and around your home, storm drain safety around the detention bases these gentlemen are building to mitigate flooding throughout the city, and then also stormwater pollution, keeping people from polluting our storm drains. Broadly, media ROI has been at an all-time high in paid, earned, shared, and owned media channels, and we get a lot of shared media because our creative is so fun. People we see on social media constantly sending it to one another without even paying to run an ad. Flooding awareness is at an all-time high, up to 95%, and our most recent campaign was the nationally ranked top overall project by NASMA, National Association of Stormwater Management Agencies, among a lot of other different honors. We have a multitude of different campaigns running at different times against different audiences you may be familiar with. This was one where we introduced the concept of water always wins, because we did a lot of research that shows it's always people who are in a hurry, or they've got a big truck, or some reason that they can drive through the street and make it. So we created this idea that it's a little competition in which you always lose. Flash flood 1, I got this 0, running late 0, that sort of thing. And all those answers on like why people said they could do it, I was running late or I had a truck, came directly from research of people who had been through flash floods, and that they cited those reasons. So it's all sort of fact-based on research we do annually with Jeremy and his team. Aside from those billboards, we also have the Danger stuff coming. We also have real-time flood warnings. So with digital billboards, if it's raining, we can get ahead of it, or we know it's going to rain. There's a flash flood warning in effect, or it's flash flooding right now. Be prepared for rising water. So we're keeping you aware, and we're letting you know when things are happening in real time. We've always stayed ahead with new technology. Right now we're using AI. We're all over social and digital. A few years back, we leveraged immersive reality, 3D stuff, where we did this virtual reality experience to take to colleges, because the staff go to a lot of things at schools and engagements and community partner. We have a million things of community outreach events, so they can take this thing, and you go in this thing, and you're driving through the virtual reality, you encounter a flood in it, and then you try to drive through it, they get washed away. And I think in the original idea that people were going to perish, but Steve and Andrew told me that nobody could die in their video game. So we made sure that we incorporated a swift water rescue of a helicopter comes in and saves these people. So it's this really engaging thing in which a person go like, oh wow, I don't want that to happen to me. So that thing has almost 8 million views to date. It's hosted on YouTube, and we don't pay to promote that. That's just a thing we did years ago, and it continues to pay dividends. Flash flood safety. So Danger, you're all familiar with, I'm sure. Turn around, don't drown. We started with him on storm drain safety, to keep kids out of storm drains, not to think it's a water park or a playground or whatever. And we had such good response from that. We decided let's move this over into flash flood safety as well, with behavior around driving. And another key insight to that was, as we saw metrics changing on people's behavior changing, it's not driving through floodwaters. The one demographic that was scoring lower was what we called young invincibles. We created a new group, and it was teenagers and young people who just, obviously, as you all know, any parents, they think they're invincible. So we really wanted to make sure that we were talking more to kids with a lot of stuff who showed a higher propensity for dangerous driving. So that's been very effective. We did that in storm drain safety as well. We're all over TikTok and all the media the kids are on these days. Like I said, the focus was on young invincibles. In addition to the ad campaigns on digital, social, television, we created a lot of classroom materials, handouts. We have a Zoltar machine at the museum, if you've been there. Kids love to interact with, where they can see Danger in the flesh. We have brochures. We have a video called Classroom Chaos, where we introduced this character, the opposite of Danger, the Drain Ranger, and he's like the good guy. So there's this educational video students watch where the Drain Ranger is always trying to talk people into do the bad thing, the wrong thing, it's good for you, and this guy tells them what's right. And it's really worked in educating kids, and we have actual proof of that from feedback. Overall, we're everywhere, extensive omnipresent outreach, like I said, digital, social, TV, radio, outdoor, classroom, community, partnerships, paid, earned, social, owned. A quick recap on the stormwater pollution. We did a separate campaign for that to deviate from Danger, based on the concept of social proof, which suggests that people learn how to behave adequately by learning what not to do by examples of other people doing stupid things. And they don't want to be the person who looks stupid, as opposed to responding to government authoritative messages like, say, just say no. They show if you tell people what to do, they'll do it. What not to do, they'll do it in spite of you. So what we did is we have this thing is they say your character is how you behave when no one's watching. So we had this campaign of spots where the three main culprits are people are throwing their dog poop in the drains, they're brushing their waste from when they're doing their yard, and they're pouring like their oil from their cars and doing maintenance in their driveway into the drains. We have these scenarios where these people do these things, and in every one they're kind of doing their thing and they look around like to see if anyone's watching, because they know they're doing something wrong. And their conscience starts to speak to them, and you just hear this. And out of nowhere, the no-no balls, these giant red balls come and knock the hell out of them. And it's just a big comedy where they get beaten up and everyone gets the message. You can't dodge karma. Only rain goes in our drains. So we hope that people, when they find themselves in that situation, think twice and do what's right. And good engagement with this work as well, and it's new. Diversity outreach events, the staff at Flood Control, they have the new Dranger Danger van wrap they're driving out there, but they're everywhere in the community during flash flood season and beyond. This is just a small sample to make sure that diversity outreach, there's no an underserved population out there that isn't getting the message in person. So kudos to all them, and we're supplying them, of course, with all the materials to engage them. And I just wanted to make a note here towards the end. When we started talking about young invincibles and kids and really developing school materials, as Isaac said earlier, to ignite the passions of our kids, we started getting feedback, lots of emails. I have a few samples here from parents and stuff like, here's one where, my son loves Dranger Danger campaign. And by the way, we don't get emails from parents at ad agencies that our kids love your commercials, so this is unique. When he's allowed TV time, he asks for Dranger Danger videos, and he wants to know if they're going to extend the campaign, and is there any way the coloring books or materials for the kids, we can get some stuff, the type of stuff you'd give out at kids' fairs, which of course drives us to create some of these things. Anyway, he wants to know the names of Dranger Danger's backup singers from one of the ads, because he has come up with his own and is curious to know what their real names are. We're actually next year going to launching an extension where these backup singers have their own little thing, and they're going to be named after what this kid's idea is. So I won't read them all. I'll be very, very happy. But recently, anyway, we sent him a package. The staff sent him a little Dranger Danger swag bag with the shirt and towel and stuff. And they write, sorry for our delayed word of thanks. This is just a couple weeks ago. Your package arrived the day after Christmas, and both my kids were absolutely ecstatic to receive a box from the one and only Dranger Danger. For the past month, everybody who comes to the house has shown the activity books and coloring pages and has explained the difference between a flood watch and a flood warning. And a flood warning means it's definitely going down. We went to the kids museum, spent some time hanging out with Zoltar, the fortune machine. Anyway, you get the idea. We have a 4-year-old boy who is, when neighbors come over to his house, is telling them about the dangers of the flash flood and describing the different types of flood events, and sort of like to see the proof and like what the intent of the campaign and how it's engaging young kids. This will mitigate the futures of, hopefully, the guy who drives through the flood in his truck when he's 20 never grows up to be that kid. So we're proud that the strategy is actually connecting with real people in the real world. So new stuff in the pipeline. This Dranger stuff is kind of a runaway success. We see people sharing every year. Stuff for kids, board games, talking about a Twister type game, action figures, things to give out at community events, on and on. The great thing about this is every year we're not just investing in new campaigns and ideas, we are leveraging the equity of a very solid campaign and just giving it new fuel every year in little bits. So thank you, and if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah, no, I commend all your efforts and your team for coming up with this. It's very creative, and I think you're on the right track. Just one little suggestion, maybe the Dranger Stranger would look great. He'd be perfect for a Day of the Dead motif. So if you're able to, once, I know it's a few months away, but Day of the Dead will be here before I know it. And I could just imagine him with make him look like he actually has a star, but it's actually like a rescue thing, like around his eye. Anyhow, he'd be perfect for it.
We actually have that mocked up. Actually.
Yeah. And the serious part, of course, would be that to do, of course, an ofrenda that would be dedicated to people who passed away here in the valley due to not heeding advice. That's where it makes it kind of real. It makes it get from fun to kind of real, but gets the awareness out. I guess where my biggest concern is, of course, it seems like, and the city of North Las Vegas has done a lot of partnering with the flood control district regarding, cleanups and things that we do, of course, with the homeless population. And so I'm kind of hoping that somehow a lot of our homeless still do have access to phones. And so I'm wondering if there's any way to merge these digital outreaches and kind of like tailor them a little bit more to our homeless population. And of course, I'm not saying that Rangers should, maybe get a suit and actually go out there and visit these places, but well, that'd be one idea. But it just, again, they're vulnerable. Our homeless population, for whatever, everything else aside, they are vulnerable, and they're the ones who are usually the ones. I could be wrong, but I think at this point, they're the ones who are actually the most likely to be suffering, loss and loss of life when it comes to these. Maybe speak a little bit to that.
Absolutely.
I'll say one thing about that, and that is a very serious problem and something that we are constantly working on solutions for. But the message of explaining to the people that are living in the storm drains that it's dangerous is something they already know, and so it's not new information for them. So I mean, we're doing our best to educate them on just how dangerous it is, even when it's not raining. But certainly, it's just it's an accident waiting to happen. But for sure, our partnerships with the homeless outreach people and things like that and they all just being aware of all the reasons they shouldn't be in there is helpful. But it's more helpful, I think, for the community to understand that, so that they can really understand how important it is that we as a community help them get out of there and find housing and find jobs and find ways to be productive members of society and not have to live in a storm drain.
I almost thought that, if we go into some of the drains and put like historical highs or where the water reaches, I got a feeling that some people will take that as a challenge and they'll try to build something that'll actually, like a little tower to outreach our highest point that we'd paint on a wall. Just, as humans, we're very resilient and kind of like, focused. And so, but anything they can do, I'm sure that you have many more solutions that I can think of.
You bring up a lot of things. So that is actually a big push. The state of Nevada was actually looking for like high water marks and things like that to put like in the communities. Hey, the water's been up this high. We got a lot of pushback from the community saying we're devaluing the property of their neighborhood by saying, oh, it's this. So we decided that it probably wasn't the best idea to like go around and do things like that. Now, fortunately for us, we don't have a lot of areas like downtown that we can say like, oh, it's water's like, we do such a great job of controlling and providing infrastructure for that. But for sure, like in Reno and things like that, where they have Truckee River right there, they've had downtown flooded areas like that. They do have some of those high water marks. We looked for some opportunities to do some of that around Clark County, and we didn't really find a good place to do that. That was a place where people really thought it was valuable information for them. So, but the state was kind of pushing pretty hard on high water marks in the community. So we try to be more educational on our we like the idea excuse me, of signs and things like that, and say like, hey, if you're in a detention basin, this is also this ball field is also a detention basin. It's also dangerous. Be aware of the potential dangers while you're out playing in this area, things like that. So those are kind of where we've gone with our signage and our sort of education in the community.
Any other comments? I just want to say we're grateful that you're coming back for a request for another contract, and you've run an award-winning, successful, and highly recognizable set of ads over the last many decades. And just want to say congratulations for all you're doing to raise safety for flood awareness here in this valley. So that, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, sir.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. Item number 12 is action to evaluate the performance of the general manager and adopt management goals and objectives for 2026 or take action as deemed appropriate. On January 22nd, 2026, the committee comprised of board members Commissioner Justin Jones, Council Member Isaac Barone, Council Member Jim Seebach, Mayor Pro Tem Brian Knutson, and Mayor Joe Hardy met and evaluated the 2025 performance of the general manager. Thank you all for participating in that committee. The agenda, backup materials, includes management goals and results for the 2025 review period and recommended management goals and objectives for the next review period of 2026. The evaluation committee moved to approve a 5% merit increase and 2.6% cost of living adjustment to the current base salary.
Very good. I want to thank my colleagues that sat on the committee. We had a great presentation from Mr. Trelease and had a good discussion, and I think that these are the right recommendations from the committee. So unless there's other comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion. All right, there is a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Item number 13 are comments by the general public.
This is the second time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to provide public comment with regards to any matters before the Regional Flood Control District, please step forward to the microphone, state your last name, state your full name, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, we will close the second public comment period and we are adjourned. We'll get started with the RTC in just about 5 minutes. Thank you.